Now that you've gotten a general overview of what the foundation program looks like during the first and second year, let's focus on actually getting you there to day one of your internship. The application process is the same for everyone in the world, but most requirements are already fulfilled if you live and study in the UK. For years now, the eligibility and application process has looked relatively similar, although it has been subject to Brexit rules in recent times. Brexit changed the rules for EU citizens, but also changed the rules for non-EEA citizens who study in the EEA. Previously, if you didn't have an EU citizenship but you did study in the EU, you'd have to wait until you graduate to start applying for the program. Most often, this meant that you'd have to apply for the next year. This is now no longer the case in most cases, but it should be checked for your personal situation as per the most recent UK Foundation Programme guidance. These individuals always had to apply for Tier 2 skilled worker visa in the past, and nothing has changed in that regard. For EU citizens that studied in Europe previous to Brexit, this meant that they could freely apply to the program without going through the visa process just as a UK citizen normally would. Now that Brexit has come into effect, all non-UK citizens are required to apply for the Tier 2 skilled worker visa to come to do the 2-year foundation program. As you might imagine, this changed a lot of things, although overall made the prospects of attaining a position fair for everyone. Unfortunately, for those that didn't study in the EU or the UK, you'll most likely have to take the PLAB exam in order to prove your knowledge is sufficient as per UK standards before applying to the program. This is a standard that has been present for years. Coming into effect in 2024, instead of taking the PLAB exam, the same applicants that would have had to take the PLAB exam will now instead take the UK MLA. This also applies to UK students who study in the UK. However, EU applicants don't have to take the UK MLA to be eligible to apply to the UK. You only need to show proof of English language through the IELTS or OET exam with a sufficient score. The UK MLA will be further discussed in a later part of the course. In this confusing and arduous process of getting into the program, there are strict deadlines that are in place. These dates are entirely available for applicants on the UK Foundation Programme website. These details are on the document named Eligibility Applicant Guidance. Each year, this document is updated with the most up-to-date information. It will be the document you go to find answers when you feel you can't seem to get answers from anywhere else. If you're ever confused, first visit this document because it likely has the answer you're searching for. The very first step starting the process is starting an eligibility application. Generally, you have to fill out an application for eligibility if you're not a UK national and you are not studying at a university that does not receive a UK diploma. For example, if a UK citizen and an EU citizen study in Hungary to get a Hungarian approved diploma, they both have to fill out an eligibility application. Or for example, if a UK citizen and an EU citizen study in the UK, they don't have to apply for eligibility. Once the eligibility application phase ends, essentially both the UK and non-UK students and graduates apply for the Foundation Programme National Application. As mentioned previously, the eligibility application and the Foundation Programme National Application both occur on Oriel. First, the eligibility application, and when the deadline arrives, the Foundation Programme National Application window opens soon after. When you apply for the eligibility application via Oriel, you must have a list of things to upload in PDF format to Oriel for the application, including 1. A color scan of your passport with details, 2. Proof that you have or will graduate as a doctor, 3. Proof of English language proficiency, if applicable as per UK Foundation Programme guidance, and 4. Evidence of your right to work at the time of application to Oriel. This will be your current passport. To find out if you have to sit PLAB exams, the only way is to check through the General Medical Council website. If you're new to the visa application process, the only way to be granted a visa for entry is if you have a sponsor, hence having sponsorship. Sponsorship is essentially when an organization vouches for your right to enter the country for a temporary amount of time. All details of the timeline and what is entailed in the job for which sponsorship is provided in a sponsorship certificate. This certificate is what you need in order to apply for the Tier 2 skilled worker visa. Without that visa, you cannot work in the UK as a doctor unless you are a UK citizen or other reasons where you have indefinite leave to remain, for example through settlement scheme or having a British spouse, or etc. There are visa options on uk.gov that are worth looking into. If you qualified from your medical school more than 2 years ago, you'll have to take into consideration the fact that you'll have to take the clinical assessment. The primary purpose of the clinical assessment is to determine your fitness to start the foundation program training for an applicant who qualified from medical school more than 2 years prior to the start of the foundation program. The UK Foundation Programme email and the UK Foundation Programme Eligibility Guidance will be the most important things to keep you staying on track when you are applying for the program. Any questions that do not seem to have a simple answer can simply be answered either by the guidance or by emailing the help desk at the provided email in the description. While not all government websites are easy to navigate, I found that the UK Gov website is by far the most user-friendly website I've used to try to find important information pertaining to really almost anything. It generally likes to ask you a few questions to categorize your situation, and then it gives you the guidance that applies directly to you. It'll make your life at least a bit easier. If you need a sponsorship to get a visa, the UK.gov website is where you'll be filing the visa application and submitting your sponsorship certificate. All details pertaining to what you need for the visa, how much you pay for it, and other pertinent information will be listed immediately on the website. As mentioned previously, the UK.gov website is where you'll find much of the important information that you need to make decisions, find information about visas and other ways of having right to work, and much more. It's a very user-friendly experience that'll speed up the process of finding the correct information, applying to your situation very quickly.